What's up YouTube? STIPE here from Unique Chrysler, and today I am doing a Grand Cherokee SRT versus the Durango SRT here. They are both the 2018 models, of course, and over here the Durango I have in Bruiser Gray, which is a newer color, and it looks amazing on this car. Just gonna do a quick little walk around. Sorry, they're a little bit dirty. Here in Canada we get quite a bit of snow and we put a lot of salt on the roads for that reason. And over here I've got the Grand Cherokee in the ivory pearl white, which looks amazing as well. I really like pearl white. It's one of my favorite colors. So I guess let's start off with the exterior differences first. I will go over that kind of and what I think is actually the difference between the two. To start off, I mean, the Grand Cherokee looks pretty similar as far as when it comes to the new model. I will be doing a video on kind of the differences in the 2018. There's not much, it's really just a few exterior badging that's a little bit different. And other than that, they are pretty similar though to how they were. So to start off, I mean, the first difference is obviously the look. They are completely different models. They're based off a very similar platform though. The system that they both use is very similar. So you've obviously got the 6.4 liter 392 Hemi in this SRT Durango and as well in the Grand Cherokee. Now in the Grand Cherokee, it actually doesn't say anything on the side except for Grand Cherokee, like every other Grand Cherokee does. And on the Durango though, it actually does say 392 on the side. Now I don't know if they did that possibly because obviously the 392 Hemi is more of a Dodge thing, and obviously the Durango is a Dodge, not a Jeep, and hence the reason for maybe why they don't advertise that on the exterior. They only advertise SRT pretty much on the Jeep. Now as far as that goes, they're pretty much the same look around on the interior. Now the interior on the SRT Durango is a little bit different. They actually changed it finally to this shifter, which is from the Chargers and the Challengers. And to be completely honest with you, I don't know why they didn't change it sooner. I am not a fan of the knob that they used to have here. For you, some of you who are familiar with it, it is the knob in many of our other vehicles like the Ram and the 300s have it. I can't remember which other vehicles do have the spin dial knob. Pretty much like these kind of knobs is what I'm talking about. Obviously the engine start stop is in red, and you have the SRT steering wheel with the flat bottom, which is the same as what you would get in any other SRT except for the Grand Cherokee, which I will be going over now. So just showing you here everything, the stitching, the carbon fiber, looks amazing. This does come with the Beats audio system, and the price on this SRT Durango is about $85,000 Canadian, which is a very similar price point to the Grand Cherokee that you will be seeing. And as far as everything goes on the inside, they pretty much just made it a little bit nicer with the leather stitching as opposed to just a bunch of plastic like they do in most of the Durangos. Reminds me a lot of the RT, I would say, is the most comparable. The sunroof here, and of course I do like the fact that it is a 7-seater. It's probably one of the fastest 7-seaters in the world, if not the fastest. However, if you don't need the 7 seats, then really it's a tough debate between the two, and that's what I'm kind of give you an idea of what I would go with between the two. Because if you don't need the 7 seats, then really it's not a big problem to kind of choose between the two. Right now, if you do need the 7 seats, you're probably gonna end up choosing the SRT Durango if you want a little bit of pep to your vehicle. And when I say a little bit of pep, there's definitely a big difference in this SRT Durango from an RT Durango, let's say. So I'm gonna go out here and I'm gonna go into the Grand Cherokee next here. As far as options go, you can option just about everything the same. This Grand Cherokee is actually a little bit less. I'm not sure if you can see that here. I'm going to clean the window here quickly. This one's 83,000, let's say Canadian. It is a little bit more lightly equipped. That would be why. As you can see, the seats are the suede interior instead of the leather, which I actually would prefer suede. I know it's harder to clean and stuff, but it's a little bit more comfortable to sit on than leather. I'm not crazy about how leather feels. Now, when I was going to talk about the steering wheel, now I know in 2018 they actually changed the steering wheel and put Jeep, in 2017 they put Jeep on it, which I didn't like actually, and I'm actually happy because I actually thought they still had it. This is my first time actually looking at one now, and they actually put back SRT, which I really like that they did that. Now I believe the Trackhawk that we had did say Jeep on it, so I'm not sure if that's an option or if they're just making that standard on the Trackhawk, which I prefer that it says SRT. I mean, it is the SRT edition. It's kind of making it a little bit more different, let's say, than the regular Grand Cherokee Overland or Summit or whatever it may be, which is why I personally would think it's a good idea for them to put SRT, which I'm happy they did. As far as the interior goes, pretty much the same. I mean, they add a little bit more leather as opposed to the plastic, the carbon fiber, the red push start button. 8.4 obviously is the same. The shifter's been the same for quite some time, I think since 2015 now, the SRTs, or 2016. I think in 2015 they had the electronic one, which had many problems, so they went to this. Obviously this system's been integrated for quite some time too. You have all the same drive modes in the SRT Durango, which would be track, sport, auto, snow, and towing. Now you also have the SRT pages, of course, on here, which I'm sure you're all very familiar with how that works, and you can actually customize just about everything from the SRT pages. The Harman Kardon system, though, is the biggest difference in this. The speaker system, I would say, personally, from what I've noticed, I would show you on video, but it's kind of hard to tell on video. It's kind of experience and firsthand. I think the HK system sounds a lot better than the Beats audio system. I've said the same thing with the Challenger and the Chargers, because I've heard the Charger Beats system, and compared to the HK system and the Challenger, it's like night and day. I would pretty much say the same about the Durango and the Grand Cherokee. So that's a big flaw that I think the Durango kind of lacks. I'm not sure why they didn't put the HK system in it, but they didn't. They went with the Beats audio system, which is still great. It's not a bad sounding system, but there's definitely a noticeable difference from this to that system. So as far as everything goes, options wise, you can equip them the exact same. Walk around back. Now, here's something that I'll show you. The brake system is the exact same. The rims, as you can see, are the same as they were last year, which looks amazing. And the brakes are the exact same, actually. The only thing that's different is actually the rims, as far as when we're talking about the wheel here. I actually like what they did with the rims on the Durango, because they actually look a lot better with the way they painted this aluminum. It looks very nice. Like they did with the SRT 392 Challengers and Chargers, they also did a better paint scheme than the Hellcats, in my opinion, which I never understood why. And as you can see, that's the back brake system there. Now, from driving these two, I actually almost was obviously the Durango is heavier. Now, I was very surprised to see that the Durango actually seemed feel the same almost as the Grand Cherokee, but the Grand Cherokee does ride a little bit nicer, in my opinion. And here we are. As you can see, on the 7 seats, those fold down too, so you do have more space in the back too of the Durango. Let's say you don't need, and the hood, sorry, I forgot to mention the hood. So the hood actually is now, this is pretty much the standard hood on all the 18s, which I don't like that they did with the SRT Durango. I kind of wish they just did it on the SRT like they did with the Hellcats, because this is the Hellcat hood, obviously, and I kind of wish they just kept it for that, because it is the top of the line model right now in the Durango, and it would kind of distinguish itself from the other models, because the RT actually has the exact same front grille too. It's not just like the SRT has this grille. The RT has it as well, and I believe it just says Durango there, or Dodge. I can't remember what it exactly says there, but it definitely looks the exact same as far as an RT goes, which is why I like the Grand Cherokee better, is because the SRT is actually quite far noticeable from the other models, especially with the hood. It is different from the other models, which I definitely like more about the Grand Cherokee. I'm going to come to the back here. Probably just gonna let me start it up quickly. So as you can see, the sound is actually pretty quiet compared to Durango, and this is why I wanted to do this, because you'll see that the Durango is actually quite fairly different as far as when it goes to the sound of this vehicle. So if you'd like to hear this now, I can just get the key out, and we'll go over the key fobs in a second. And you'll notice there's a pretty big difference. So as you can see, there's a fair noticeable difference with the way the Durango sounds. It sounds actually a lot better than the Grand Cherokee in my opinion, and I'm not sure why that is. Obviously they use a different maybe baffle setup or different muffler of some sort, because the Grand Cherokee is fairly quieter, definitely between the two. Okay, so the last thing I wanted to go over here is the key fobs, and the key fobs are actually the exact same. So as you can see, they say SRT on the back, and the buttons and everything are the exact same. You would control it exactly the same from the fobs. They have keyless entry, of course, and you know, you can remote start it and all that good stuff from the keys. So I mean, they didn't change anything with the keys, which I like. It's still the standard SRT key, which is good. And as far as that goes, it's kind of a tough choice to choose between these two cars. I mean, of course, if you need the 7 seats, go with this. But from what I've experienced between the two, there's not a whole lot different. I think the biggest thing that bugs me about the Durango is the hood and the front look of it, and how it doesn't look different from the other models as opposed to the Grand Cherokee does. And I think that bugs me the most, is because it really just looks like any other Durango whipping by you, which would kind of bug me. I guess the only thing that would throw someone off, I guess, is the rims and the brake calipers. I can't really think of much else that would really throw someone off to tell the difference, but to most people, they won't even notice that. So that's one thing that throws me off. The other thing, though, that throws me off about the Grand Cherokee is the sound. I like a little bit of rumble, and I mean, these are performance engines. They should sound great. The Grand Cherokee still sounds great, but it's definitely quieter. It's more muffled or something like that. I can't really explain what it is. It's definitely a little more muffled. This sounds probably a lot better, in my opinion, than the Grand Cherokee. So, I mean, at the end of the day, it's a tough choice. I'd probably go with the Jeep just because it holds its value a little bit better than the Durango does, per se. I mean, the Durango has been around long enough, but I'm pretty sure the Jeep will hold its value better, just because that's what the Grand Cherokees and the Wranglers have done for quite some time now, and it's just proven that it has happened. So I would probably go with the Grand Cherokee, assuming you don't need the 7 seats, over the Durango for sure. Comment down below, let me know what you would go with. I mean, obviously my opinion isn't everyone's opinion. Let me know what you would choose, but this is what I would go with personally. Thanks for watching. Subscribe and comment and like down below. Thank you.